Hi, I'm James with British Customs. Today we'll be installing our handlebar clamp and our riser spacer on this 2022 Triumph Street Twin. To do this install, we recommend that the bike is on the ground so you can move the wheel and be able to access your riser bolts much easier. It's also highly recommended that you cover the tank. If you're going to work on your bike a lot, we recommend that you buy a suitable tank cover. But if you're not, a blanket, a heavy-duty moving blanket will do just as well. First thing we want to do is loosen the riser bolt under here using our 14mm socket. And you want to be careful when this breaks loose, you don't want to hit your ratchet into your tank. So you want to take it a little easy. And just loosen it, do not remove it. And we're going to repeat the same step on the other side. Turn the wheel so we can access it. A 14mm socket. This time we're turning away from the tank so you don't have to be as cautious. Again, just loosen it, don't remove it. Now we want to remove our riser clamp. Now we're going to remove the top clamp using our 5mm Allen hex bit. When you loosen this, you want to be supporting the bar and make sure it doesn't slide down and hit anything. And when we take the clamp off, you definitely have to be holding the bar so it doesn't fall down. When you take the bar off, I recommend that you wrap a rag around the bar before laying it down so that you don't scratch your triple clamp or the bar. So now with this loose, we can just hold this with our hand and spin the riser off of the bolt. First, what we need to do is take this top clamp off of the riser using our 5mm Allen hex bit. Take out the 4 screws. In the kit, you're provided with different length bolts. For Street Twin models, we're using the 80mm or 3 1/8 inch bolt. And you slide it through there. We're also going to be installing our riser spacer. This is approximately 3/8 of an inch. You'll notice that you have a recess on one side and the lip on the other. Same thing on the riser. There's a recess there. We want our lip to go into the recess. And it should have a recess on this side. Now, another very important step. When you took off the stock riser, there was a washer underneath of it. You need to put that underneath the British Customs one. If you're not going to use the spacer, the same steps still apply. Same bolt, same washer, just leave out the spacer. Now we're going to install our riser. You want to make sure you got your wire guide right here, and the bolt from the riser goes through that. So you just want to make sure that that's in place. And remember, you have your washer there. If you don't put your washer there, you may get excessive movement on your risers once it's all together. Get that through there. And we're just going to start this nut on there. Hand tight. And then we'll move over to the other side and repeat the same steps. So again, we're going to just hold the nut down there, turn the riser off. Here's our washer. I want to reuse that. Make sure you Your grooves are oriented properly. Put your washer on. Riser in. Make sure your wire guide hole is aligned. Start threading the nut. On these clamps, they have marks. These don't matter which way they go. These are really just for identifying for packaging here in-house. But I personally like to make sure that I put them the same way, whether they're on the bottom or the top, doesn't matter. And then you have a mark on the riser. So I try to, on the riser cap. So I try to keep those going the same. So if I ever have to take them apart, I make sure that I'm putting them back together the same way that they came off the bike. Now we're going to get to putting our bar onto the new risers. Lay it in there. Get our cap, put the mark on the mark. I'm going to start just get the thread started. And if they're not going in nice and easy, stop what you're doing. Make sure they're aligned properly. So as we're doing this, you don't want to have to go too tight yet because we're going to need to readjust them as we go. So you don't want to make any marks on the handlebar. And this is a 5mm Allen hex bit, in case you were wondering. Okay, now you want to try and get them back to center. Now we're going to snug the top clamps. Not too tight. We still want to be able to move the bar. We just don't want it wiggling around in there. But we need to be able to rotate a little bit. So just a little snug so that we can tighten the bottom bolt. So from there, I can still rotate it if I need to. Now with our 17mm socket, we want to tighten the nut. And again, now that we're working this way on this side, you want to watch your tank as you're tightening it up towards the tank. You don't want to slip and dent it. Do the same on the other side. Okay, another 17mm socket. Tighten up the right side. Now we want to align our bars up and downwards. We like to start out by taking this portion and making it as even as we can get with these forks here. And it's just a starting point. From there, you want to ride it and get to where you're comfortable with it. Now it's time to torque down our top clamps. We want to try and keep the space even on both sides. And one way I like to do that, I have a little ruler here that's about 3/32 of an inch thick. Anything you can find that would fit in there is going to be good. And then I just snug these down so that it's holding that ruler. We have a light drag there, and we're good. Now we can torque down the ones that are more forward. And the space should stay even. So we're going to torque these down to 10 Newton meters. Using our 5mm hex bit. And once they're done, then we can go to the back and make sure they're tight. Now we're going to final torque our bottom nuts here using our 17mm socket. Go to 38 Newton meters. Again, be careful, watch your tank. Now we do the same for the other side. 17mm socket, 38 Newton meters. And that's our handlebar clamp and riser spacer install.